like I said, I lived in my car. I bunked on the couch of an apprentice buddy who had a camper. I lived in hotel rooms, extended stays. You can talk to the hotel or motel staff and I tell them your situation. Hey, I'm working here. Do you guys do a week to week type of deal you guys can give me to where I can, pay a little bit less but live out of a hotel? Hello, welcome back to episode 2 of CTQ. CTQ stands for Cruise the Questions. I get a bunch of questions in my Instagram DMs, emails, YouTube video comments, TikTok comments, questions. People reach out with their questions and I love the questions. So in this, I want to go over a couple questions of what you guys are asking me. Now, a lot of these questions are lineman related and oriented questions, but a lot of these questions also kind of pertain to other trades as well, because the lineman apprenticeship, yes, is a specific trade. You could relate these questions to how it would be for other trades as well. Anyway, if you have any questions blue collar related, please ask them to me either in the comment section or go to Blue Collar EDU on Instagram, DM me there, or email me at austin@bluecollaredu.com. I'll also take them from there as well. So with Blue Collar EDU, I'm here to expose, teach, educate you about blue collar career opportunities and things that'll help you get started in a skilled trade. With that being said, let's hop into question 1. Andre asks, peace man, my name is Andre. Currently an owner-operator truck driver, but looking to make a transition into the lineman field. I've recently applied at Southwestern Line College and waiting to hear back. Just wanted to ask, within your time of being in the lineman career, if you've experienced any slowdown or no work available. So, great question, Andre. In my experience, so I've been in the lineman trade since 2017, and then the tree trim power line clearance for a year before that. So I haven't experienced any slowdown in the last 6-7 years until this year. This year has been slowing down. Now, I'm currently working, but with the administration and office and how the economy is going, it all has a big snowball effect on everything else, right? Bad economy means, it's harder to get things to be manufactured because a lot of the manufacturing is overseas. So a lot of these utilities and stuff are trying to get material like wire and transformers from overseas, but there's delay issues and transportation, and it all has a major effect from just having a poor economy and administration. When it comes down to it, not too much getting into politics. But right now in 2024, this is the slowest I've ever seen it in my career so far. Now, I've talked to guys who've been in the trade for a lot longer than I have, and they've said that, well, this was kind of how they saw it in 2008 when they're in the housing, the crisis then. So I was too young to remember any of that. Well, I wasn't too young, but I don't remember any of that. I was, still in middle school or even grade school. So, but my experience so far right now in this time is the slowest I've seen it. And the reason I say it's slow is because contractors are laying guys off like crazy. Where places it's always been booming, like California, I've heard that PG&E and SG&E are laying off 45% of their contractors, and places in the Midwest, Illinois and Indiana and Missouri and places, they're laying off guys. And a lot of places, there's a lot of layoffs going on. The union books are full of guys on the books, 1, 2, and 3, and there's just not a lot of new contracts and work going out. So luckily for me, I'm still working, but if you're not working and you're not a book one hand in the area where you are at or trying to get work, it's pretty hard to get work. So right now is slow. So great time for you to ask this question to me. So for any one of you guys who are like wanting to get into the trade right now is not the best time, I would say, to get into the trade. It's super hard, and not to mention it's competitive. There's not a lot of new work. So if you're not already in the trade, an apprentice or a groundman or a lineman, and you're trying to get into it right now, is kind of difficult, I won't lie. But depending on how this election goes, it is election year, so it always kind of happens. It was the same in 2020, and it was probably kind of the same in 2016 as well. Whenever election year, there's a lot of conflict and issues going on, which has, just effect over the scope of everything. And being part of an industry that is responsible for the electrical power grid, there's a lot of moving parts, and so work is slow if you're trying to get into it. It's not necessarily slow if you're already working. I know in Arizona where I'm at, there's a lot of work and there's a lot of work going on, but it's also places can't work because the utility can't get the wire to get the job done, so jobs are shut down. And that seems to be a common issue where places aren't able to get the material they need to get the work done. There's the work, there's just not the material. You can't really get the work done unless you have the material to complete the work. So it's a whole snowball effect, and that is happening right now. So great question. Yes, right now is a time that is slow, and the first time I've experienced to be this slow in my 7 years of experience in the trade. Hopefully, you're going to Southwestern Lineman College and you're waiting to hear back. You already have your CDL. I would just apply at apprenticeships so they open and just start getting the experience of at least applying, going through the application process and doing the steps necessary to become an apprentice. If you're curious, I'm sure if you're in the Southwest, you look up SWLCAT, SWLCAT. That is the outside lineman apprenticeship for the southern states of Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, I think Nebraska, and Kansas. That apprenticeship covers those states. Now, there's a whole bunch of other outside lineman apprenticeships, and I'll post up a picture right here. You guys can look at this. Look up any one of these letters on Google, and it's going to pop up, and it'll give you the apprenticeship for the area, the states that you live in. You can also look at local utilities, the people who provide your power. Look for them. They might have apprenticeship opportunities or groundman or pre-apprenticeship opportunities right now as well. So always keep an eye on those employment opportunities. If you're wanting to get into the lineman trade, look at every available option. Keep an eye out for those employment opportunities, whether that's an outside lineman apprenticeship or a pre-apprenticeship or apprenticeship position with your local utility. Question number 2. This guy named Jacob asked, "Hey man, figured I'd reach out to you for a question I had. I'm currently doing electrical maintenance construction for the TVA at one of their steam plants. It's just not me. I like a challenge, money, outdoors, and I just know if I stay an inside wireman my whole life, I'll regret it. I know you aren't fully for line schools, but I'm going to line school next January and was just curious about how to start living going to the first job. I've always been curious on how hard finding a place to stay is in living all around in the beginning. Being in Tennessee, I know I'll for sure travel to another state for my first job. Maybe an odd question, but thought you'd definitely be the guy to ask." Jacob, thanks for the question. That is a very valuable question for a lot of people. If you're getting into the lineman trade, especially like in an outside lineman apprenticeship, you're probably going to travel, not be at home your whole entire time. So you're going to have to find a means to live. And I've said this in previous videos, but for me, when I got into the apprenticeship, I had a 2006 Honda Civic. I lived out of that a few days. I lived in hotels. I lived on the couch of another apprentice I was working with in his trailer. And these are what I would suggest for you to do. If you don't have the means, or if you don't have the money, if you're not able to have a truck and a trailer, that's the first and most common way I see guys live on the road, is they have a pickup truck and they have a camping trailer, fifth wheel or bumper pull, doesn't matter. And that's what they live out of while they're traveling for work. Find an RV spot, hook up, pay month-to-month lease or month-to-month rent to park your RV at an RV spot, and then you just live out of an RV, and then anywhere you get transferred or you go to go work, you just live out of your camper. And that's the most common way that most people do inside the lineman trade. Whether you're an apprentice, groundman, or even lineman, that's what they do very commonly. Now, what I did, because I didn't have the means to have a pickup truck and buy a trailer, because I didn't want to spend $150,000, $100,000, whatever it costs to have that truck and trailer. Like I said, I lived in my car. I bunked on the couch of an apprentice buddy who had a camper. I lived in hotel rooms, extended stays. You can talk to the hotel or motel staff and I tell them your situation. Hey, I'm working here. Do you guys do like a week to week type of deal you guys can give me to where I can, pay a little bit less but live out of a hotel? Other thing I would suggest is finding a place to live or rent off Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. I've done that a handful of times where I just go on there. There's people that rent their rooms out or rent part of their house, or they have a guest house and they'll rent that out. There's another place called Furnished Finder, which is very similar to like an Airbnb or, finding a room to rent. A lot of them are month-to-month leases, and their rooms and houses or their guest houses or they're part of the house to where you're able to just go in, basically sign a month-to-month lease, and you pay the money that they're requesting to live in that house month to month. And that's what I would suggest to do, because now you're not tied up to buy a truck and a trailer and have that loan. You can just find a month-to-month place to live, sign a lease month to month. Sometimes you could even do an apartment. I've seen guys do apartments. You can find a month-to-month lease with an apartment. You pay a little bit more, but now you're not, stuck with a 6-month lease or a 12-month lease at an apartment. Finding a month-to-month somewhere is going to be your best bet. That's what I've done on Facebook Marketplace. I've rented rooms off from an old lady in her house for $350 a month. I've rented a room out of a different house in New Mexico for $550 a month, and they're fully furnished. They have kitchen, bathroom, they have all this stuff. I just needed a place to sleep, shower, and eat. And ultimately, as a single guy, I didn't have a wife or kids or family to bring with me. So I was able to do those kinds of things. So if you do have a wife, a family of sorts, your best bet's probably going to be having a truck and a trailer of sorts, unless your family is willing to stay behind where you are. And, while you live on the road and do your thing, they're able to stay at home. Those are a few things you have to consider. I never had that, so I was able to live in a room in a lady's house, or bunk on the couch in an apprentice's camper, or live in my car, or live in a hotel room. So there are options out there for you. Living on the road isn't the easiest and it's not the funnest, but it is what it is, and it's part of the trade. So those are my options for you if you're trying to get into the trade and you're curious about living situations. Rent a room off Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, truck and trailer, hotels, live in your car like I did. Furnished Finder, which is an app you can get off the App Store, which is for registered nurse or traveling nurses. So those are your options I would suggest for you. Hopefully you learned from this video. Blue Collar EDU, I'm here to expose, teach, educate you about blue collar career opportunities and things that'll help you get started in a skilled trade. Whether you're trying to find a living situation because you're going to be working on the road, or you're curious, is there ever been an experience to slow down and work? Those are a couple questions. Send your questions into Blue Collar EDU on Instagram, or email me at austin@bluecollaredu.com. And I love answering these questions, because if you have a question like this, someone else probably has a question or the similar question or the same question. That these questions and answers, hopefully they can help someone else with the same wonderings. That being said, I'll catch you on episode 3 of CTQ.